It has been a while. I feel like for like, what, 7 years we were discussing what was going on in Minneapolis with I.c.e. Now we have to give a little bit of an update because there are, of course, Patriot things going on there. So we will provide to you the correct reality-navigated take on what is going on, because there have been a lot of changes, a lot of, frankly, deliberate disinformation spread about what has been actually going on there. It's, of course, the usual suspects, the retard right, the panicking class, of course, people who outwardly admit themselves to be agents of demoralization working to forward the agenda of the radical left by essentially dissuading young conservatives from supporting the current administration, which is the best representation they or their parents have ever had in American government. So just to recap a little bit, ICE obviously began a surge operation in the sanctuary city of Minneapolis, Minnesota, to deport criminal illegal aliens, which is to say all illegal aliens, fraudsters, largely as a result of those reports you saw of like the Somali scandals that were uncovered in the state. This, of course, was viral all over social media, even mainstream news. And so ICE officers were met with some pretty fierce organized pushback, right? You had like these mobs of left-wing terrorists, one of whom was actually killed, Renee Bad, you may remember, while trying to murder an ICE agent with her car. And another one actually tried to pull a gun on ICE agents while actively impeding their operations, that, of course, being Alex Ugly. All the while, you had disgraced governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, who is a rumored homosexual, actually, stoking the flames and encouraging his supporters to essentially commit like suicide by cop by going to war with federal law enforcement. You had this sort of like libtard, what is it they scream in World at War? Remember in Call of Duty when you're fighting the Japanese and what the banzai, and they would like charge you with their bayonets or whatever? Yeah, that is essentially what they were trying to like rhetorically lockpick libtards in Minneapolis to doing. The problem is they weren't as cool as the Japanese, and so it just spectacularly failed. Anyway, it got a little bit too much to handle, I think, for rumored homosexual Tim Walz, because remember, this is a guy who is supposed to be the vice president. He was cast into that role as someone who most people, including even myself, again, I make a living in politics, I didn't even know who this guy was, but they wheeled him out to be the sort of like token stand-in white guy. We're going to take photos of him wearing, hunter orange, and he's going to have a shotgun, and he's, I like to shoot quail. I'm just like a normal American, you betcha. And it's like, this guy was like obviously totally made in a lab, totally fake, totally anti-white, supported all sorts of insane radical stuff that was in total contrast to the image they were trying to paint, of him as being this like normal middle American guy who just so happens to be subscribed to gay race communism, a la Kamala Harris, who again was also installed. So we know this. Neither of these people were equipped to be that guy. Kamala Harris was not equipped. She was literally only selected to be the vice president because Joe Biden could count on her as not being threatening to his power. He understood, his allies understood that his stature in office was not exactly going to be, I guess you'd say, locked in. And so he chose Kamala. This is not even my theory. This is like reported, public information. He chose Kamala specifically because he knew he would not have to worry about her ambitions and her cunning, because she was very not smart and very much not even interested in politics so much as she is just attention, money, what have you. So that's why Kamala was even chosen to be the vice president in the first place. Tim Walz was chosen, again, for those reasons. But the point being, in terms of being thrust into the national spotlight, Kamala running for president, Walz running for vice president, neither of these people were ready for that. They were cast into that by their party and humiliated on the national stage in spectacular fashion. It made for fantastic content. But when it comes to actually hitting the ground running, neither of these people have it. And so when Tim Walz is put into a position where all of a sudden he's getting this media attention, he's getting actual pressure from the activist class to act, to do something, to resist ICE, freaking secession, civil war, he totally caves. He totally concedes to the Trump administration, despite his, flirtation with civil war rhetoric on social media. So yeah, he deploys state law enforcement to both quell the protesters and to actually assist ICE in deportation operations, which was the entire reason there was that surge of additional agents in the area in the first place, to assist with ICE. So we had to have supplementary Patriot forces come in. Now they are gone. Local law enforcement is filling that vacuum. Supplementary Patriot forces can go do stuff elsewhere. Perfect. Walz caved. He cucked. He bent the knee and kissed the ring to our beautiful leader, Donald Trump, and his administration and his demands. So they were met. There's no need for the additional agents. They can go cook. They can go do what they're going to do. Go back to saving other parts of the country from the foreign menace, now unimpeded. Awesome. So border czar Tom Homan, he makes this statement, which, the aforementioned retard right, panicking class, these kinds of people, they have used this statement to spread more vile lies about the Trump administration's deportation efforts. So just take a look at this video.
With that, and success that has been made arresting public safety threats and other priorities since this search operation began, as well as the unprecedented levels of coordination we have obtained from state officials and local law enforcement, I have proposed, and President Trump has concurred, that this surge operation conclude. A significant drawdown has already been underway this week and will continue through the next week.
Now, normal people for whom English is their first language would watch this video and rightfully see it as like a total patriot victory, right? The retard right, however, including some of their highest ranking officers, they are using this video to say, well, Tom Homan is announcing a full withdrawal of ICE from Minneapolis. This is just called lying on the internet. You know, they're calling this a total surrender to the radical left. They're saying the Trump administration is kowtowing to violent communist agitators. This could not even, you know, if producer Blake and I tried, I don't know if we could actually make this further from the truth. Because the truth is that, again, the extra surge, remember how he said surge? Key here. That extra surge of 700 immigration officers that are being removed while well over 2,000 are remaining in the area to conduct further operations. The officers leaving are being restationed elsewhere. These people are not just in Minneapolis. Mass immigration is affecting literally the entire country. That was the whole point of why do we have Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, right? So ICE is still hitting the ground pretty hard in Minnesota. And if you need proof of that, look no further than what the radical left agitators themselves are saying. Look at Will Stansel's Twitter account. These people are in shambles. They are beaten. They are defeated and demoralized. Maybe more so than they've ever been. They were pretty agitated in 2017, but they had at least a little bit more pep in the step. They had some wind in the sails. These people are not doing very well because ICE is just kicking their asses everywhere, and they're winding down, and the most they can do is like shake a barricade. I saw that video, you know. They were outside, and there was now barricades in front of the protesters, and one of them was like, I'm really mad. I'm going to shake a barricade, and it's like, oh my gosh. Dude, Trump needs to invoke the Insurrection Act now. Libtards are shaking barricades. What are you doing, you Cheeto? It's like, we are winning. You can calm down. You have nothing to worry your little patriot head about. Everything is fine. And now we have the assistance of Minnesota law enforcement. I see this as an absolute win. So, of course, when the left is at its absolute weakest point ever in living memory, they still do possess certain contingencies. Namely, these contingencies exist in the form of the aforementioned retard right? The Panican class. These people exist exclusively to demoralize conservatives by spreading blatant lies about the administration and what they are actually doing. We're seeing this right now. I have seen, again, people get, red pilled, they wake up in 2020, 2022. I have seen this in cyclical iterations since 2015. We will continue to see this as we continue to succeed long after Donald Trump is gone. This is how the game is played, okay? We are winning. We need demoralization on our side because otherwise we would be very excited about all the progress that is being made. That is why these people exist. That is what they do. That is why they are promoted. That is why they are able to access platforms which we were banned from, which I was banned from for like 3 years. That's the entire point. Do you think that all of these like Democrat PR operatives, all of these like PSYOP strategy, do you think that they just like went away? Do you think that they just simply packed up and I don't even know, went to Mexico or something to live their lives in peace? Their life's work, I guess, just didn't work out for them. Now they're retired. No, they obviously regroup, they re-strategize, they plan a counterattack. And in the meantime, yeah, they're going to do what they can to deflate the energy that exists on the right. Because as you may know, you accelerationist, when you start making progress, it exists as a kind of feedback loop, right? The time in between integers of progress decreases. It begins to compound upon itself. And so the only shot you have at slowing that down is to try to deflate and demoralize by spreading falsehoods to people who otherwise would be contributing to that energy. So that is what all of this is. It's not as though it is just simply, oh, we actually really like the Trump administration. We just wish they would, do a better job. Yeah, me when I like something but wish it would do a better job. Hey, you slave, you betrayed us. I'm going to kill you. I hate you. You're gay. You sold out. Yeah, me when I insult the integrity of the guy who took a bullet for me. I just want you to do better, man. I just wish that you do a little better. I want the same thing as you do. No, you're lying. That's all it is. So I have no patience for it. You can't have these kinds of people in any sort of like productive, serious coalition. It's just simply not how it works.